Excuse me, sir. There's no smoking in here.
I don't consider myself a hardcore Batman fan. I never read the comics, I barely watched the TV shows, only when they came on conveniently as I played with my Power Rangers toys, and I didn't flock to midnight screenings of Christopher Nolan's movies either. The same can be said for the Arkham games. I only played Asylum months after its release, and the price was drastically lower on the 360, and likewise with Arkham City, picking it up for a price of a McDonald's lunch on Steam. What I'm trying to say is that I'm as unbiased as they come when it comes to Batman media, which makes it even easier for me to confidently say that Batman Arkham Knight is a masterpiece, and easily the best game released this year. Rocksteady have proved once again that they are the masters of their craft when it comes to Batman. The great gameplay elements introduced in Arkham Asylum, then expanded in Arkham City, have been so meticulously polished to perfection in Arkham Knight. It all starts with the story. The new villain in town, or at least somewhat new, is Scarecrow, with a plan to, you guessed it, release toxin into Gotham that will drive everyone crazy with fear. Standing at Scarecrow's side is the enigmatic Arkham Knight, the villain who seems to be the only one able to stand toe-to-toe with Batman and will be primarily the major focus of the game. Rocksteady has made sure to keep any clues and hints as to his identity a complete secret, but I can confirm that even as a completely casual Batman fan, I was able to figure out his identity about halfway through the game. Scarecrow and Arkham Knight are far from the only two villains in the game though, as you'll have to deal with the likes of goons like Two-Face, Penguin, the Riddler, and more. All those villains are tied to their own separate side missions that you can tackle freely when you want to take a break from pursuing the Arkham Knight. While they're not all winners, most are certainly worth delving into, as they all have their own stories associated with them. The story is about one piece of this mastercrafted experience. It's the gameplay and the mechanics that really show just how dedicated Rocksteady is to this franchise. I will say that initially when the game throws a whole bunch of different systems at you, it was somewhat overwhelming, but it's something you ease into over time. The game does a fantastic job at not only making you feel like a badass crime fighter, but also a top-notch detective. Detective mode is back and once again highlights important items that can be interacted with, as well as shows enemies through walls, enabling Batman to sneak up on them undetected and take them out quietly. But it goes further. CCTV camera feeds can be scrolled through and rewound to find clues, entire crime scenes can be virtually reconstructed and replayed. Batman's detective mode also has a new mode which lets you scan multiple layers of a person's body, which includes the flesh, muscles, and bone. You'll also reconfigure voice samples and fingerprints in order to get access to various locked out technology. Granted, all of these are situational and only happen in certain missions, but they enhance the core experience. You really do feel like a genius detective with million-dollar technology at your every disposal. Speaking of multi-million-dollar technology, this time Batman can take to the streets in the signature Batmobile, which seems like it's a bit of a hybrid of the Tumbler from the Dark Knight movies and the more sleek Batmobile from the cartoons. I was worried about driving in a game that was primarily a third-person action game, but Rocksteady has once again exceeded my expectations. The Batmobile is a very agile vehicle. It's fast, but never at the cost of handling, ensuring that corners are always easily taken. You also won't have to worry about getting stuck on various obstacles, as the Batmobile literally drives through them with ease. It's obvious that Rocksteady made some sacrifices to realism in favor of playability, and with the Batmobile being more or less a tank, it's certainly appreciated. Batmobile also has a battle mode which you can switch to freely and on the fly. This turns the Batmobile into a more agile tank, allowing you to strafe and fire off heavy rounds with the Vulcan cannon, or pick off smaller enemies with the 60mm cannon. Throughout the game, you'll also get various upgrades to the Batmobile, like being able to fire off EMP blasts, or even make enemy drones fight for you. The same great combat that was introduced in Arkham Asylum is still very much present in Arkham Knight, though with a few new additions and refinements. The bulk still consists of timing button presses to either land hits or counter enemies, but soon you'll have to deal with different counters that deal with charging enemies or enemies using weapons. While it may seem like Arkham Knight is a button masher at first, the game introduces so many layers of difficulty already by the halfway point that simply button mashing is the quickest way to Batman's death. Then there are the new dual takedowns, which allow you to team up with various other characters like Robin, Nightwing, and even Catwoman to perform a finishing combo on an enemy. While these do look cool, don't expect to be using them a lot in the game. They're also very situational depending on the mission that you're doing. While the Batmobile is an amazing addition, nothing beats soaring through the skies of Gotham City. I tip my hat to Rocksteady at the insane amount of detail that went into the game. Not only is it unbelievably gorgeous, but it's so meticulously designed that it will fool you into believing that this kind of technology could indeed exist. Even the Batmobile has an insane amount of detail, with tiny moving parts shifting as you drive, to the back opening to reveal passenger seats. It's insane, and it doesn't seem to impact performance whatsoever. It's one of those instances where I had a hard time believing the screenshots and videos prior to release until I actually played the game. I would definitely call this true next-gen visuals. I only have 2 complaints about the game. Firstly, I wish Rocksteady had made it an option to turn off thug chatter through Batman's radio. Every 5 to 10 seconds you hear a thug say something completely stupid and often out of place. It completely ruins the immersion. Secondly, the last act of the game needlessly throws a massive amount of bad guys at you, which to me seems to serve 2 functions: time padding and artificially raising the difficulty. Since you'll have to take on so many enemies at once, chances are you might fail once or twice, prolonging the whole experience. After the somewhat disappointing Batman Arkham Origins, it's nice to see Rocksteady back at the wheel, delivering what is this year's best game. It's been quite some time since I've seen a game so polished, so visceral, and so fun. The game also proves that you don't need thousands of square miles to explore just to get your money's worth. What's the bottom line? Well, if you're a Batman fan, chances are that you already own it, played it, beat it, and you know exactly who the Arkham Knight is. If you're not a Batman fan but appreciate well-designed games with a ton of variety, great story, and a visceral combat system, definitely check out Arkham Knight.